When you learn something new about yourself, a truth about yourself that has always been there, but you learned it later in life, there's this natural instinct to want to uncover if there were any signs earlier on. Whether it's your identity or a late diagnosis or whatever the case may be, you want to look back on the things that led you to that point and see if there was something there already that you just missed. That's what I've been doing lately. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the signs that I feel like I might have missed from my high school days. So I didn't figure out that I'm asexual until I was 28 years old, and I didn't know that I was aromantic until around 30, 31 years old. But I was in high school in the late 2000s, and I didn't have access to those words yet. In fact, I didn't even know that asexuality existed until a good 4 years after high school. So looking back on high school, I think the first thing that I would just naturally look towards would be the romantic relationships that I had. And I did have two relationships in high school. They were both kind of different. The girls that I was with were very unique from each other. But there are a couple of commonalities. For instance, I didn't feel a need to talk to them all the time. If I saw them in the hall, I'd say hi. Sometimes we might kiss in the hallway, but it was never like I had to. Other than this is what's expected of me as the boyfriend, I should be doing this. So I kind of took on that role, but I didn't feel an intrinsic need to do it. I just followed the role I knew I was supposed to be doing. I didn't really feel a need to talk to them any more than I would talk to my friends, or see them more than I would see my friends. I didn't prioritize them. And I realized that wasn't what a romantic relationship is for most people. I just didn't understand because I didn't feel that in my own heart that I should be doing it. I didn't feel drawn to them further than I would my friends. So I didn't see anything as my friends should become lesser. And I know that that's not the right way to look at it anyway, but that's not how I would have wanted things. Even now, it's not how I would have wanted things. But I didn't feel like this attraction was stronger than how I felt about my friends. That first relationship in high school was kind of just your standard. We went to movies and went on some double dates with her friends. We went to dinner. It just didn't work out because we were just two different of people and had two different interests and two different personalities. But that second one, that one always really stood out to me. I used to think of her as the one that got away, but I realized that no one got away because it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work because I don't feel that way about other people. And I understand that now. But looking back, I remember she was actually the one that asked me out. I remember coming home one day and finding out that she called our house. And I knew that she worked for the school newspaper. So I thought that because I was actually doing a fundraiser at that time, I thought she was calling to ask about that fundraiser, to do an article about it. Because I know I didn't live in the most exciting town. And if there was something to write about, she should probably be investigating it. So I thought that that's all that was going to be. But actually, as it turned out, she was trying to ask me out. We did end up going to a movie. We started a relationship. But a lot of it was her idea. A lot of the dates that we went on were her idea, or they were school events that were easy for me to, hey, we should go to this basketball game on Friday night, So I didn't really put a lot of imagination into that relationship looking back, and I was terrible at communication. One key example of how I didn't see my romantic relationships as prioritized over my friends is that I performed very well on the ACT in my junior year, and that's when I was dating her. And I told my friend Amanda first. And Amanda ran into that girlfriend and told her. And my girlfriend was not happy with me that I shared it with somebody else before sharing it with her. I didn't see a problem with it. I didn't see that she should be the first one to be told. I knew Amanda since I was in kindergarten. And I didn't see a reason to deprioritize my friendships. And I know that's not what she necessarily wanted me to do anyway, but it came off that way in the moment. And it led to an argument that I wasn't giving her enough attention. And I tried to patch things up by saying, hey, let's go to this basketball game this weekend. And I thought we were fine. And I don't remember if it was the day after or a couple days after, but we never made it to that basketball game. She came to my lunch hour, which she was in a different lunch hour, so that was already weird. But she hand-delivered me a note. A friend of mine grabbed it out of my hand and read it out loud. And she broke up with me in that note. And I think I thought it hurt a lot. And I thought this is what a breakup feels like. This is what it feels like to be dumped. And yes, the rejection part was there. But looking back, I think I was more hurt by the way it happened than by the breakup itself. I was hurt by the friend reading it out loud and everyone hearing it. And people coming up to me in my later classes because all of a sudden the word had spread because the whole half of the lunchroom heard this. I remember feeling kind of embarrassed. And I think that might be why I thought that breakup hurt. But in actuality, what I was feeling was, yes, the rejection, but also just, why couldn't she have talked to me one-on-one? Because the breakup itself was acceptable to me. I wasn't feeling it. I thought I was, but I wasn't feeling romance. I was feeling somebody that I got along with as a friend, which is, for me, the most strong thing that I can feel. And I say that because my friends really meant the world to me at that time, and they still do. Some of them I'm still very close friends with. And I had a group of friends from another school that I grew up with, and then when we went off to high school, we split off because of where we lived. We lived on either side of the divide of school districts. But I would be over at their houses all the time, especially one. I mentioned earlier, my friend Amanda. I was over at her house all the time because she lived very close to me. And with those friends who were mostly girls, we did a lot of like cuddling while we watched movies or what have you. We would listen to the new Taking Back Sunday album or the new Paramore album, or we'd be watching Twilight, and we'd be cuddling on the couch. And I thought nothing of it because that's what friendship was to me, was that closeness. And I loved that closeness. And at times I thought that I was feeling romantic attraction even. But I understand now that, no, that was platonic attraction. Maybe even queer platonic attraction to my friends. But it wasn't romance. It wasn't what people talk about with romance. And the irony there is, I loved just cuddling on the couch with those friends. But when that girlfriend that I mentioned would touch me, sometimes I really got an ick from it. One of her favorite things to do that vividly stands out in my mind was I'd be standing at my locker and she'd come up behind me and grab me at my hips. And she would refer to it as my love handles, and I hated that. I absolutely hated that. And I didn't understand that I had a voice in that relationship to say something. Because again, I thought I was playing a role. I thought, I need to be the boyfriend. This is what she likes to do. I need to let her. And I didn't understand that physical intimacy needs to be agreed upon. I wasn't the one to reach out for the physicality because I didn't like that kind of stuff anyway. And that probably crosses over with some of my asexual signs as well. But I didn't understand that I could say no. And I feel bad that high school me didn't understand that, but I'm relieved that it didn't go any further. Because I'm afraid of where that could have led. Another thing that's kind of a rite of passage in high school is dances. I went to a number of dances over the course of my high school days, but never once did I ask someone else. There were a couple times where I went to that rival school as a guest of my friends, and there were 2 dances that I went to at my school that I was asked by a girl at my school. In either case, I didn't expect someone to ask me. And so much so that even my freshman year, I remember a girl asked me to a dance as well, and I thought she was kidding. I actually thought she was kidding because I didn't think anyone would look at me like that. So I never had a voice to ask anyone because I didn't feel that there was anyone I wanted to ask. I didn't feel that way about anyone. And now that makes sense. But when that note breakup happened, that was my junior year. And junior year is, at my school anyway, the year that you have prom. That was the biggest dance that you have in high school. It was really that quintessential rite of passage that is in all the movies and books and everything. And I knew this. She broke up with me right before it. I remember sitting in one of my classes, and a friend of mine who was also friends of hers said something along the lines of, I hear she's looking for prom dresses. Have you talked about what colors you're going to wear or something like that? And we hadn't had that conversation. But she ended up breaking up with me before we even could. But then there I was left without a prom date, and I didn't think I was going to go. But Amanda, who I mentioned earlier, she found out about that through just talking with my friends. I might have just vented how I was feeling or something. But she ended up asking me, even though she didn't go to my school. She didn't want me to miss out on that. As I mentioned, the love that I have for my friends is the strongest I've ever known. And this is one of the reasons why. Because I have some of the most selfless, caring friends. Even then, and to this day, I'm still friends with her and many others from that group. This is the kind of thing that they would do for me. And I know how lucky I am to have them and to have had them all these years. We're in our 30s now, and I still have them. I've been friends with her almost 30 years now. But I think another reason why I didn't figure things out earlier is because in my friend groups, whether at that school or at my own, we never really talked about sex. That never came up. We'd watch movies where it was very pushed on as a theme. For instance, I remember watching American Pie with some of my friends, and I thought the whole concept was absolutely ludicrous. And I thought that was the point, was that it was supposed to be over the top and ludicrous. And to an extent it is, but I didn't understand that some of that is deeply rooted in real concerns that people experienced about, I have to do this because it's a rite of passage before high school is over. I didn't understand that was like actually a concern that people experienced. And even now at 33 years old, I feel like that doesn't make any sense to me. But back then it certainly didn't, because I didn't understand that it did for other people. Being that I didn't understand this until I was 28 when I learned that I'm ace, and I really opened my eyes and realized how sex obsessed our culture is, it does make me question how accurate some of my memories of high school actually are. How many things were happening right in front of me that I didn't see, that were distorted by my asexuality and my misunderstanding of how other people feel and are attracted. I'm not upset at any of these things that I feel like I missed. The things that were right in front of me, the things that maybe I should have picked up on. I'm not upset at them, because they're still a part of my journey in the way that they are. I'm here today, and I am who I am today, and who knows, maybe that would be different. Maybe I wouldn't be me. Maybe I wouldn't be here maybe I wouldn't be making this video right now, trying to reflect on my own experiences so that maybe someone watching can learn from my experiences and notice things a little sooner. I'm sure there's still a lot that I have to unpack, and there's probably going to be a follow-up video to this where I talk about some of my experiences in college, but I don't know that I'm quite ready to reflect on college because that was an entirely different beast. But I hope this helped somebody. Thanks for being here, and thanks for listening.